Hi everyone, we're talking a bit more about your choice of clothing today. Now, in South Africa, where I live in George, it's slowly but surely becoming winter. I know not as cold as for some of our friends in the Northern Hemisphere, but it is definitely turning a little bit more chilly at the moment. So I thought to have a look in my cupboard at typical things that I wear. I'm a sensory root, a sensory avoider. So that means I don't like things to be too loud, too busy, too scratchy. I like things to have less sensory input for my sensory system because that keeps me more calm and comfortable and focused. So the first thing that I have here today is my puffer jacket. As a rule, for me, it's better to rather have one warm jacket that I just put over my clothes that I'm already wearing instead of layering. When it gets to layering, sometimes you have something that's tight fitting and then the next thing isn't so tight. And after a while, you've got so much input on your skin that's changing all the time. Every time you pick up something, every time you turn around, it just feels that there's new sensory input coming into your system and you're so aware of it the whole time. So for me, it's easier to have one warm jacket, and when I know it gets cold, that's my go-to. The next thing you can see, I'm wearing a black top today with no patterns on it. Now, often in my cupboard, you would rather find monotone clothing. So not too many patterns on a day that I'm brave and that I have a sensory good day. I would then go for patterns and for different colors. I would maybe even wear a scarf that's like this, but you can still see with the color, it's still more calmer colors. It's not your flashy, bright reds and oranges and colors like that. So that's another one. I've also got my cap. When I go walking for the sun, we always have to wear a cap. I'm not crazy about having a cap that fits my head completely. It's just too much input. It feels like my head is suffocating. If it's a cap that fits nicely, wonderful. But generally for me, it's better to use a cap that's got an open side like that, just because my hair is free. There's nothing pressing on top of my head, and I can change it according to what my needs are for the day. I can make it a little bit tighter, or I can make it a little bit more loose. The other thing that I also have here with me is my shoes. Now, when it comes to shoes, I use a lot of my senses. Firstly, I go according to sound, believe it or not. If I buy boots for the winter, I don't want to hear the cluck, cluck, cluck every time I walk around. So I do use my sense of sound as well. I don't like the noise. I do also like the inside. I want to feel what the soles of the shoes on the inside feels like. And then a last thing where I know a lot of people might not get it, those that get it, you might be some of my fellow sensory avoiders, is when it gets to tackies and you have your laces. Now, on a day that I'm having I call it a bad sensory day. It's not really a bad sensory day. It's just that I've a day when when my thresholds are really playing up and I'm very sensitive. I would, instead of choosing tackies that's got laces, where they've got to be the same on the left and the right side, the tightness, I would those days rather opt for shoes that doesn't have laces. That's just easier. It just works better for me. Then the left and the right side feels the same. And often on that day, my socks, if the seam of the sock irritate me, I would turn them inside out. So that isn't a constant irritation. You can really use your senses when you look at your clothing to either make your life more comfortable, to set you up for a better day, or if there's an irritation, if you put on your beautiful clothes and you feel, oh my goodness, no, something is irritating me. Advice from me, change your clothing. Otherwise, it's going to bother you the whole day, especially if you have low thresholds. That's all from me for today.